Tonight's story is Poodlum Hoodlum. Sandwich Street was a street full of pets. There was Wuffy on the corner and Scruffy by the shop. Cats stunned themselves at kitchen doors and canaries sang in the cages. I need a pet too. Let's get a dog, Casper begged his mother. Play with the dog next door, she suggested. But that dog isn't a real dog. It's a pom-pom poodlum, said Casper. Pom-pom poodlums can't even play. The pom-pom poodlum belonged to Mrs. Montague. She had this black poodle wool clipped into pom-poms. A pom-pom tied with a blue ribbon on top of his head and two pom-poms, both with blue ribbons on his tail. A funny-looking dog. I won't play tricks. I won't throw sticks for a silly old pom-pom poodlum, said Casper. If I have a dog, I want it to be a hum-hum hoodlum. The pom-pom poodlum sat on the other side of the hedge and sighed. I wish someone would throw sticks for me, he thought. If I ever have a boy, I'd like a boy like Casper. Pumphrey, called Mrs. Montague, for that was what she called her pom-pom poodlum. We're moving to the city. What fun we'll have gallivanting to galas and garden parties, me in my new pink dress and you in your new pink bows. Soon we'll be well away from Sandwich Street with Wuffy on the corner and Scruffy by the shop and the noisy, nosy Casper next door. The pom-pom poodlum was packed into a travelling cage with a flowery carpet and a pink cushion, and the man in charge of the move slid the cage onto the back of the van, and the van set off to the city. The pom-pom poodlum whined and sighed in the back of the van, and with his clever paws and pointed nose, he wiggled and jiggled the catch on the back of the cage. The van stopped in a distant town, and the driver opened the back of the van to check the furniture, and out shot the pom-pom poodlum. Off he went, pom-poms and all, round the corner, past the lamppost, under the fence, across two gardens, through a hedge, leaving a trail of blue ribbons behind him. At last he hid deep down in the dark, damp, dirty ditch. No one looked for him there. Night fell and the moon came out, and so did the pom-pom poodlum. There was no van. There was no kennel. Where was Pom-Pom Poodlum to go? He hid in gardens where his pom-poms looked like neatly clipped bushes, and he sneaked through shadows, and no one saw him because he was shadow-coloured. He stole dinner from the dishes of other dogs. I must find my way to Sandwich Street, the Pom-Pom Poodlum thought to himself. Cold winds blew, but he curled up and put his pom-pom tail over his nose. A new black wool began busily growing out all over his bare patches. Creeping through gardens and diving along ditches, night after night, day after day, the pom-pom poodlum wove his way back towards Sandwich Street. Nobody threw sticks for him, but a few people did throw stones at him. Once a dog catcher tried to corner him in the park, but the pom-pom poodlum pretended to be a statue of black stone, and the dog catcher walked right past without noticing him. And once a roadman laughed at him and tossed him a sandwich. Sandwich Street, thought the pom-pom poodlum as he wolfed it down. I'm going in the right direction. The pom-pom poodlum rubbed rubbish bins, and he was amazed to see what people tossed into them. He raided rubbish tips from the edges of towns and even saw more astonishing things. Then off and away he went, still searching for Sandwich Street, growing wilder and woollier as he went. Black wool grew down over his paws, and his bright brown eyes blinked through a curling fringe. There was nobody to clip, comb or care for him any more. Late one evening the pom-pom poodlum limped around a corner, and suddenly there it was, exactly as he remembered it. Sandwich Street. With Wuffy on the corner and Scruffy by the shop, and the kitchens full of cats and cages of canaries. Mummy, look, there's a funny sort of sheep lolloping along out there, said Casper. That's not a sheep. His legs are too long, and I can see a pointy nose in all that wool. Besides, it's not lolloping, it's limping, said his mother. Poor thing. It can sleep in our shed, said Casper. Oh, all right, said his mother, just for tonight. The pom-pom poodlum smiled and begged and waved his sore paws in front of them. Oh, Mum, do let him come inside and lie down by the fire, said Casper, begging too, and waving his hands. You said you didn't want a pom-pom poodlum, said his mother, but this dog's wild. This dog's woolly. It isn't a pom-pom poodlum, it's a hum-hum hoodlum, cried Casper. That's exactly the sort of dog I've always wanted. And Casper gave the hum-hum hoodlum a quick hug, and the hum-hum hoodlum licked his ears. He likes me, said Casper. He can stay, can't he, Mum? We'll see, she said. We'll see means yes, doesn't it, he said. It might, she said. It might really means yes, doesn't it, said Casper. Go on, say it. Please, Mum, I'll say yes, please. I promise I'll feed him. I promise I'll throw sticks for him, and I'll play tricks with him. Oh, please say yes. Oh, yes, then. Yes, 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 said Casper's mother and hugged him. Are you happy now? Oh, yes, 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 said Casper. Casper and the hum-hum hoodlum were both enormously happy. In the distant city, Mrs. Montague bought herself 2 new little dogs, and she tied pink ribbons around their top knots so they matched her pink dress, and when they gallivanted together at garden parties. Back in Sandwich Street, the hum-hum hoodlum pom-pom Poodlum had his fringe clipped back from over his eyes, but he never ever wore pom-poms or ribbons again, and he and his friend Casper played tricks and chased sticks happily ever after. Have you got a dog? I know Becky has a dog, a special dog called Luca. He's the brother for Millie, Maya and Zoe. Night night, God bless.